You are watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, bringing you your daily dose of business and technology to educate, empower, and inspire small business owners. Be sure to subscribe to the show today.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett land and all of my friends around the world. It's a beautiful day here in Gwinnett County. It is 70 degrees and it's going to go up to like 83, which is crazy because I think my air conditioner is on the blink. And I was hot all night long. But anyway, nonetheless, it is a beautiful day to be here and I'm happy to be here with you guys today. Today, we're going to be talking about unlocking wellness and innovation. I know if you go listen to the podcast, I'm always talking about tech on the show. I talk about a lot of AI on the show, but I never talk about wellness. So this is a great opportunity today. My guest today is a doctor. He's a chiropractic doctor, and he has invented a pillow that's going to help you sleep better. And this technology is just amazing. So we're going to bring him up. His name is Dr. Jarrett Grunstein. Or Grunstein. It depends on where you come from. It's Stein or Steen. I used to work at a Jewish family agency in Florham Park, and I had a one person. Her name was Judy Gerstein, but then I had another a counselor. Her name was Dr. Epstein. So, but it was spelled the last part was spelled the same way. So it depends on where you get it from. But anyway, Dr. Grunstein is my guest today, and he's going to be talking about how to sleep better. He is a chiropractor, and he has invented this amazing pillow. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring him to the stage. So, let him introduce himself.
Oh, thanks for
Welcome,
having
welcome,
me.
welcome.
Oh, it's great to
You're
be
very
here. Thank
welcome.
you for having me, Audrey.
You're welcome. So, first of all, I see that you're in Livingston, New Jersey. I gotta tell you a quick story about Livingston, New Jersey. So, I used to live in. I lived in. I grew up in Newark, and I lived in West Orange, and I bought my house in Maplewood before I moved back to Georgia. But when I was living in Jersey, when I first started my first business, I call it my first real business in 1999, I quit my job at Verizon, where I worked in Madison, and I took a paper route, and Livingston was on my route. So every morning at 3 o'clock, I'm up in Livingston throwing papers because I was dedicated to the dream. So we're going to talk about you and your dream, and how you got started. So give us a little background about who you are and what you do before the pillow.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have been a chiropractic physician for 20 years now. Actually, my first office was down in Clearwater, Florida, for about 6 years, and that's when I invented the first version of the pillow I'm going to share today. That actually led to me trying to open a couple of versions of the business. I ended up licensing the pillow, but it's been a 14-year journey getting to this point, trying to help people sleep better.
It's so funny because I'm an inventor as well. So 1999, I invented the first plus size fashion dolls. Like there were no fashion dolls that were bigger than Barbie on the market. So I had this idea when I was working because I hated my job and I wanted to leave. God gave me this great idea for this doll. So
Mm.
bringing a product to market is pretty rough. Now I know that you guys run a family practice. And so is your dad or your mom a chiropractor too?
No, family implies that I treat families in whole. So no.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a family business. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I went
it's a little
to I
confusing.
went to a chiropractor once, and they adjusted my neck. I feel like he did something to my neck. I was never right after that, so I was afraid to go back. But anyway, that's
Mm.
a story for another time. So let's talk about the pillow because I know bringing a product to market can be a little bit tough. What gave you the idea for this pillow?
Well, this started because 20 years ago when I opened my first practice, I included on the form that people filled out, what position do you sleep in? Your sides, your back, your stomach? And what I found in a period of, I don't know, a year, it became quite obvious to me that about two-thirds of people actually shift between their sides and their back throughout the night. So, patient after patient coming in and saying, I went to sleep and I was fine, and I woke up and I have a crick in my neck, it kind of led me to believe that the pillow was the issue. Started looking in the marketplace for a pillow for back and side sleeping that would keep your neck in neutral in both positions, and I just couldn't find one. And to this day, there's very, very few that fit that criteria.
I'm a left side sleeper. So is there some because of the way people sleep, is there like a certain way you should sleep or shouldn't sleep? Because I sleep on my left side, like I sleep the best. I'm not a back sleeper. My daughter sleeps on her back like she's just like a zombie, like stretched straight out, hands down to her side. And I was like, how do you sleep like that? So I'm a side sleeper. Is there a way you should sleep and shouldn't sleep?
Well, every sleep position, back and sides, both have their advantages. Your spine is probably in the most neutrally aligned position on your back. However, a lot of people with low back pain really want to try to use a pillow underneath their knees, and then a low profile pillow so their head isn't being pushed forward. Then on your side, you need a pillow that's going to be high enough to keep your head not from tilting. And
Mm-hmm.
ideally, a lot of people who have low back problems, they really want to try to use a pillow between their knees, similar to what you were
Mm.
recommended when you got pregnant, to use a body pillow. Otherwise, the legs scissor, and that creates a lot of tension in the pelvis, and that leads to a lot of
Mm.
low back pain that I see. And I'll just add with this, the reason it's so important during sleep to sleep in a neutral position is that during REM sleep, when we're dreaming at night, we're actually paralyzed from the neck down. Our muscles are
Mm.
completely down for the count. So the joints that are normally stabilized by these muscles have none of that stabilization support. So the joints are extra vulnerable. And that's why oftentimes people feel that their back or neck issues arise when they're sleeping at night.
Yeah, I can understand that because I have lower back issues, and I thought it was because I just sit all day long because I sit so much because I all of my work is pretty much done on the computer, and I'm a workaholic, so I don't shut down at 5 o'clock like normal people. I'm still going to 8, 9 o'clock, get out the bed, start all over again. That's me. Um, So now you decided to do this pillow because you did some research and people gave you some feedback. What was the process like to get the pillow started? Is it patent? Did you hire a graphic designer to put it all together for you? What was that process like?
Well, the first version I can speak for, it was a long process, yes, getting the patent pending status, working to work with a graphic designer to get the packaging, and I ultimately licensed the first version of this pillow to a pillow company. This has its ups and downs when you do that. On the one hand, you get the manufacturing and they basically take care of everything. On the other hand, you lose all control of the process.
Mhm.
Marketing, in particular, in my mind, wasn't really that robust as it should have been. Even then, they sold about 10,000 pillows within a year. Um, I went back to the drawing board after I went to TJ Maxx and I pulled the product off the shelf and I saw that it was kind of filled improperly. And I realized, wow, there can be some updates here. So over the last 6 years, I redevised the pillow and it's now made out of organic latex, which is a material that has a lot of advantages because it's hypoallergenic and it stays cool. It resists dust mites, mold, that type of thing. And it also has a durability where basically a lot of pillows flatten out over a period of time, but this pillow, 4 or 5 years, is going to feel exactly the same because it's made of latex, so it just doesn't deform at all.
Uh-oh, what
It's
did I
in the
do?
process.
So let me ask you a question. I want to go back to the licensing process. So you had an idea for a pillow, you got your prototype done, you went to a licensing company. How did you get, what was that step like? Did you know somebody in that space? What was that step like? Because we watched the Shark Tank, and the Shark
Mm.
Tank, one of the things they'll say, hey, we can do a licensing deal. And it sounds amazing because it's like, okay, give me some money, you take it, you do all the work. What was that process like, and how did you find a company to do the licensing for you?
Good question. So it was actually kind of a roundabout way. I ended up here in New Jersey. We have some of the biggest infomercial companies in the country. Telebrands is one of them that's close by, and another one was called Idea Village. I pitched the pillow, the first version, to them. They loved it. Actually, they see 10,000 inventions a year, and they ran a
Mhm.
test of a commercial they created around the country. And it came close to passing the test, but not quite. I convinced them to do another commercial. So they ran another commercial. Again, it was close. This almost ended up in stores everywhere, but not quite passed the test. So what happened was the manufacturer who they plan to use to make the pillow, they loved the idea. So they, after this had failed that stage, they wanted to pick it up as a project. And so they approached me and asked if they could license the idea. And I was more than happy because I really wanted to see people using it.
Now, with that licensing deal, did you have to say, okay, I'm going to license it only to you? Was it exclusivity, or could you have did a license with someone else? Could you have said, well, you can license it, but I'm going to do it too? How did that part work out?
Yeah, they negotiated an exclusive license. They didn't want to have any competition in terms of selling it. So it was a very exciting process. I got to go to New York City a couple times a year for Home Fashion Week and pitch it to a lot of different companies, Macy's and QVC and all the rest. But when a company like that does this, it's not their only project going. So they were taking on a lot of different things all at once. And unfortunately, my project kind of got lost in the confusion a little bit. But like I said, even then, it sold 10,000 units, mostly on Amazon, which was really exciting for me, watching the reviews pop up on Amazon and affecting people's lives.
That's so cool. Oh man, I think about when I first started the doll company, we did it. We wanted to get a licensing deal, but everybody was afraid to touch a doll that was plus size. It was like, it's a plus, who wants to buy a doll that's plus size? So we had to stay in the collectible market, but we almost had to deal with HSN. They had a doll show and we were at a doll convention, and they picked us up, gave us all the information. We were so excited. And then they shut the entire show down right before we were supposed to go to air, which was crazy. It was a show hosted by a lady named Tina Berry. We were so excited, and it was crazy because we weren't able to pay the full booth price for the doll fair. So we were in the back. We were like, oh man, we're gonna be in the back. We were right next to HSN. Like they were right, we were back to back. That's how we got the deal. The only requirement they asked us was, would we make our white, because it was $3. It was a black doll, white doll, and a Hispanic doll. And they asked us, could we make our white doll with red hair? And we was like, absolutely, whatever color hair you want, she's gonna be on HSN. When you were pitching to the licensing company, did they want you to change or modify the pillow in any way that you just said, I don't like this? Because that they asked us for red hair. We could do it because it was just hair. But what about you?
Um, No, actually, they took my lead. They understood that the dimensions that I had created were based on science. So they didn't toy with
Mhm.
it too much. But like I had mentioned earlier, well, the first version was made of polyfill. So they had to actually fill each side of the pillow correctly, and it had to be with a certain exactitude that they just couldn't. They weren't the kind of company. They made massive amounts of pillows every day. So this pillow took way too long for them to do it properly, and that's why
Mm.
ultimately I actually was the one who pulled the deal because yeah, there was a quality control issue. But no, fortunately, they were willing to do it to the spec that I had asked, at least initially. But over time, they weren't able to, and that's one of the problems with the licensing deal. You do kind of lose control of your invention, your baby, which is why I decided for this new version, we're still in the process. We're doing a pre-sale right now, but we're still working on manufacturing, to be clear. We're not quite at the finish line just yet.
So we're going through a lot right now as it pertains to manufacturing. Is your manufacturing done in the United States or is it overseas? And if it is overseas, how will that affect your sales and your processes?
It's a great question. As it turns out, if so, basically we have a pillow core that's latex, and then you're going to cover it with fabric. It turns out, at least the investigations that my team did, if more than 20% of the cost is done here in the US, the tariff actually does not apply. So we're trying to see if we can possibly do the latex core in Asia and then do the covering here in the United States. But I have to be honest, my dream is to do the whole thing here in the United States.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to manufacture here in the U.S., which is why manufacturing has been driven abroad. But, I mean, I understand these tariffs are an attempt to bring those manufacturers home here. It's a huge challenge, but yeah, my dream is ultimately to do all of it here, right here in the U.S.
That has been my dream for a long time because our dolls are manufactured in China as well. Like we've been with the same manufacturing company since 1999. And during the COVID season, I think the dolls turned 25, and I wanted to do an anniversary edition, but the cost was just so prohibitive. Like I couldn't do it, and I didn't feel comfortable doing pre-sales. And I'm glad you said that. I didn't feel comfortable doing pre-sales during COVID because things just weren't moving. And I told my mom, she really loved the dolls. I said, I can't see taking $400,000 and just shipping it overseas, praying that it's going to come back when things are just the world is just shutting down. So I never did it, but I would love to be able to manufacture because I don't know too many toy manufacturing companies in the United States. So have you looked at manufacturing in the United States, and what would that cost you? Because I thought about it many years ago, and I think about it a lot now. I'm the president of a chamber, so we're always looking at ways to innovate and do things like that.
We haven't researched, I've researched out a little bit. I did find a company in Connecticut that was able to agree that they could make the mold and, or have a company make the mold and actually produce the pillow. The price was probably triple what the quote we were getting in Asia. And that, it eats into your margins in such a way that basically you have to raise the consumer costs so high that now you're shrinking your
Yeah.
market down, the number of people who can afford your product, which for me defeats the whole point because I want everybody sleeping in a neutral position. This is an opportunity for me to kind of doctor people in places where I don't live. And that was the idea. I'm all about prevention rather than fixing the problem before it
Yeah.
arises. That is the whole concept of the pillow.
I like what you just said. You said I'm interested in helping them before the problem happens, which is a great thing. 'Cause I don't think a lot of people um they think about pillows. They just think I need to sleep and and I need a good pillow. There are 6 pillows on my bed right now. My husband has 3 and I have 3. And I have to fight him for my favorite pillow all the time, which is crazy because I have to put it all the way to the left so he does not grab it and put it make now he has 4. Um Now that you have it back and you say you've been working on it for 6 years, why is it taking so long? Because you said it's been 14 years. You had it on Amazon, which is great because that's a great process. But now you have it back in your hands and you're still doing pre-sales. Why is it taking you so long to get to market the way you want to go to market?
Well, I'm going to be very straightforward here. I am,
Okay.
if you've heard of, who Steve Wozniak is, he's the developer of the first Apple computer. Steve Jobs,
Absolutely.
Steve Jobs, his business partner, was the reason that we all use Apple products today. I am the Steve Wozniak in this process. And so we put a website together, we as in me. I found a team to do that and a commercial and a lot of different things. I found my manufacturing through someone in Asia. But to put this all together and have a congruent business really requires someone with business background. And, I've been
Mhm.
running a chiropractic office for 20 years. That's very different from taking a consumer product to market. So I am in the process of interviewing co-founders right now. I am looking for my Steve Jobs quite clearly. And so, yeah, I see the vision quite clearly because I've been treating back and neck issues for so long that I know the demand for this product is out there, but I do need help. So I am searching for a co-founder, and that's kind of the last step before we get to the finish line and get this to market.
Do you think that maybe you're a little bit of a perfectionist? Just a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
100%. If you saw the patent application for this pillow, every millimeter and every degree is accounted for. Yeah, if I'm going to do something like this, it's got to be pretty close to perfect because people are
Yeah.
relying on this. It's a
Yeah.
premium pillow, and so it was very important that it's, the design is perfect. So yeah, I'm actually interviewing someone right after this interview who I think might be a really fantastic co-founder. So yeah, but I have high standards, and that's how I treat patients. And I think it's okay, and that's a good thing to have high standards in life. But a
Yeah.
caveat is perfectionism. I have a saying to myself: perfection is the enemy of the people. In other words, it can get in the way sometimes, and sometimes you need to be okay and easy on yourself. We can be too hard on ourselves if we're perfectionists. Yeah.
And that's so true. It's so funny I asked that question because I find that I'm not a perfectionism. Like I will pull the trigger halfway, like let's go. We'll grow our wings on the way down. I'm that person. And I've had partners who was like, no, 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 pump your brakes, Orgy. We need to do this. And I'm like, no, we're gonna grow on the way. So it's like that type of thing. In your practice right now, do you have a partner in your practice? Because if you don't have a partner, I would be interested to find out how you feel about bringing on a partner if you don't have one now, like that whole dynamic, because that could be a little rough sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you asked. I've practiced for 20 years by myself. I don't have a
Wow.
staff. My patients call, they text me directly. I love having my own little shop, and it's just me, and I get to really spend time with patients and not rush them through because I have to pay staff members. I've always kind of
Mhm.
had a stay small and keep it all model. So yeah, this is going to be a learning curve for me, actually working with someone in tandem. But I really understand how to stay in my lane. It's kind of like when someone comes into my office and I detect that there's other health problems going on. I'm never trying to treat things that are out of my purview.
Yeah.
And so I think that that is one of my strengths in being able to turn part of my baby over to a co-founder. I think I understand my limitations, what I bring to the table, which is, research and development. I think I could be the face of this product, but in terms of operations, not my bag.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're doing podcasts. How many podcasts have you been on talking about the pillow? Because I'm a big believer in podcasts, a big, big believer. That's why I do it 5 days a week. I'm a big believer in using that platform because it's such a powerful platform for you to get in front of so many people. How many podcast interviews have you done so far about the pillow?
So in the last 2 months or so, we've done 5 so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Keep it going because that is when I speak at podcast conferences all the time. I was just in Florida in January speaking at Podfest Expo. I'm a diehard believer. A lot of people don't understand that this is media. Like right now, we're live streaming to all of my platforms, and I want to say that's probably about 20,000 eyeballs all together. You know, and these are people that who may not have ever heard you. So I applaud you for doing this whole podcast. I would just do a podcast tour about you. Get on as many as you want to. I'm about to launch something recent in the next few days, and my goal is to be on 100 podcasts in 100 days. That's the goal over the next 100 days. So, and some of those maybe 2 a day. Because I just feel like it's such a great medium to get your content out there. So you have one purple. Let's see the pillow. I know you got one of the pillows, so let's let the people see the pillow.
All right. Okay. So purple is my favorite color by far. So in that vein, they will be in multiple colors. We're going to be doing probably blue and white as well. And so, yeah, the innovation here is that if you shift between your sides and your back, basically you don't want a pillow that is one level, the whole pillow, because when you're on your back you only need about an inch of support. When you're on your side you need 4 or 5 inches of support. So basically the innovation here is when you lie on your back, your head goes in this cradle portion, and then this
Oh.
neck bolster perfectly supports the neck. This took me, I mean, literally thousands of hours to create this shape. I know it just looks like a bump, but it was actually very, very scientifically oriented. And then when you roll to your sides, either this side or that side, left or right, the pillow is much thicker. And this will
Mm,
keep your head and your neck aligned. And then the other innovation here is that we have 5 different size pillows. So just like you
mm,
wouldn't go to a company that sells jeans and say, just give me your one size, you would want a size that's particular for your body type. This is the same thing. If you're 5'1" and weigh 150 pounds, I have a pillow for you. If you're 6 foot, tall and lean, I have a pillow designed for you too. So we made this, we as in me, made this very specific to people's body type so that their neck and head remain perfectly neutral all night long on your back and on your sides. And this minimizes the risk of waking up with any type of neck pain, which has been proven in studies, not this particular pillow, but it's proven that pillows can prevent neck pain. And the other thing is that when you're lying in a neutral position all night, that means there's less noise in terms of pain and discomfort from your neck to your brain. And that translates to a higher quality of sleep. And that has also been proven in studies. So basically, the selling points here is want to sleep better, you want to sleep without neck pain, this is the solution, especially if you're someone who shifts between your sides and your back at night.
Now you mentioned earlier that your pillow is made from a mold, and you talked to someone in the States about creating a mold. Now I didn't even think of a mold. Like I know mine, we have injection molds. That's how our dolls are made. Injection molds. What type of mold is it? Is it a plastic mold? Because when I think about a pillow, I'm thinking like foam and then you sew the
Mhm.
fabric on top of whatever that is. That's what I'm thinking when I hear about a pillow. But you mentioned mold, and I know for me, we have molds that were made that's injection molds. What type of molds are those?
Yeah, the molds are made out of aluminum. It's called an aluminum pin core mold. So you have a cavity, and then inside the cavity, you have about 100 or so of these aluminum pins, and they will allow the heat to disperse as you're basically cooking this pillow. So this is made from latex, which comes from a rubber tree. It's kind of like if you would
Hmm.
tap a maple tree and get maple syrup. The same thing goes for a rubber tree where you get liquid latex that comes out of the tree. That's then shipped to the factory. It's turned that liquid latex into a foam, and then that foam gets injected into this mold, and then it's baked in an oven, and out comes a perfect pillow every time. One of the nice
Mm.
things about this is it allowed me to create very specific angles and measurements. And then the other part is it allows for quality control. Every pillow is exactly the same because it's coming out of a
Yeah.
mold this time, which was different from the first version.
Yeah, that's so funny. So my dolls are made from the same mold, right? But they're black, white, and Hispanic. So I remember doing a show one time, and it was a lot of white women, and they would only buy the black doll. And so my white doll name was Dawn, and they hated her. They was like, "She's so ugly." And I'm saying to myself, "She's made from the same mold." So I had to ask them, "Okay,
Mm.
so why won't you buy Dawn, but you buy Deja?" And it's like, "She's beautiful, she's exotic." They hated Dawn. She was white, she had blonde hair, she had green eyes. They hated her, and it was the exact same mold. They're like, "She's so ugly," and I'll be hurt. Like, wait a minute, but it was the same mold. But that was so they could look the same with different hairstyles and different skin colors, and so. But it was crazy just to hear her say that. Was like, it's the same mold, but she was like, she's so ugly. She said she's such a big white girl. This is what she said, and I thought that was hilarious. But okay, so you have you're thinking about manufacturing in the States. Are you doing any type of Kickstarter, anything? Because I know you're doing pre-sales, and people have known to go to Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all those places for pre-sales. Are you doing that? How are you doing the pre-sales right now?
Well, mostly at this point, I have a mattress, believe it or not, set up in my office. So patients can lie on the pillow and try it. What I decided was really the best way to sell this pillow is have people lie on it. I mean, there's no feeling like lying down with your head completely in neutral where it's just totally comfortable. I know that they don't have a pillow like this at home, and so I would say about 9 out of 10 people want to buy it. I will have to say it's been challenging in a pre-sale capacity. People want it now. And that's what I've kind of learned in this process. So I was initially planning on using crowdfunding to support the initial process of manufacturing, but taking a step back from that. I mean, the website's up, people can go and see it and see a video of it, me explaining it. But I'm not really pushing the pre-sale at this point, to be perfectly honest, because I don't really know the timeline And that feels a little disingenuous to me. So I've had a number of patients who've gone on and they've purchased pillows, and they understand this could be a year-long process. So they're loose with the timing of this. But most people, we're in an Amazon world where people want things when they want them. So to buy something now, to get it in months out from now is a tougher sell. And I understand that.
I think though with Kickstarter, most of the people that go to Kickstarter, they understand that this process can be long, and they understand that they're on the ground floor of something amazing happening. So I don't know. I think I would just say revisit Kickstarter just in case, because
Mhm.
I feel like they understand that that process is a longer process and they're not going to get it right now. General public, yeah, but not Kickstarter, because they understand this is why you're here. This is why I'm asking you to support this. The other thing about that too, I don't know if you're getting like testimonial videos from the people that are trying the pillow, but I would get testimonials from everybody and put it on everywhere. I'm like on the website, and if you do decide to do a Kickstarter, put it there as well, so that way people can see, what people are actually saying inside of the office, like they're laying on the pillow. Now, let me ask you this: how big is the pillow industry? Because I feel like is saturated. Is there a real need for it? Is it room for it in the industry?
This is our challenge and our opportunity, both.
Okay.
Since you have so many people, I mean, millions and millions of people who do shift between their sides and their back, and yet 99% of pillows are one level. So by definition, they're not suited for both sleeping positions. Most of the pillows people buy, they keep buying pillows and getting disappointed because doesn't feel quite right. They don't know why. The pillow company tells them it's going to keep their spine neutrally aligned all night long, but they're not being truthful. That's just the bottom line. So we're hoping that, particularly having a doctor associated with this and explaining that this is a scientifically driven pillow. I mean, a pillow company would have to spend at least $1 million on R&D to develop a pillow like this, because it took me literally 5,000 or 6,000 hours to come up with this patent design. So yeah, the long and short answer is that yes, very crowded pillow market. Yes, definitely need for a pillow that is actually designed based on scientific principles, which is, an opportunity since everyone uses a pillow, but also a huge challenge, to be clear.
Are you not afraid that someone is going to come along and knock you off? Because right now we live in a day and age where you can take a picture of something, you can buy it, dissect it, upload the information to these systems that can give you all of this information about it. It's so many ways. I remember when we first started with our company, and I'm talking about that company because it was a product driven company. Nobody was trying to spend money on it. One, they didn't think it was a market for it, and we had, there was a market in the collectible space. But when it comes to where we are today, the technology is just amazing. Like, you can drop a picture and say, hey, break this down, or you can buy your pillow. If someone has an opportunity to purchase a pillow, they can just dissect it and feed all the information to AI and get back everything they need. Are you not afraid that someone is going to knock you off before you actually go to market? Because you're doing a lot of PR for it right now. You're on my show, and a lot of business folks and a lot of great minds watch the show. I think I would be a little afraid to be out talking about it, and it's just me talking about it, but not ready to go to market yet.
Yeah, no, that's a valid concern. I think my first pillow, I was concerned about it. I didn't want anyone to see it because, to be clear, it wasn't that specific, and you could have easily looked at it and kind of got an idea how to make it. This one, like I mentioned, is every angle and every millimeter of this pillow is accounted for. It would be impossible unless you actually saw the blueprint in the patent design to actually recreate this pillow. It's not something that you can just look at and recreate. I mean, you could probably do a version of it, but to make it I can't tell you how many iterations it took to get to this final design where it feels just right. So yeah, it's very, very specific. Now, that said, the molding itself, I am concerned. And to be honest, I'm staying out of one particular country with the mold because I'm concerned that they will knock it off. So there is that. But unless you have actually the design itself, and now, I mean, to be clear, someone can out there could take it, do a 3D scan of it once it's out in the market, make a CAD design and create a mold. And if they have enough money, we're not going to have enough money to fight, a
Yeah.
big company bogarting this. So, you know, I guess on some level, I want this out in the world, and I'm really not doing this for the money. I know that sounds strange as a business person. I just want people to sleep better and without neck pain. As someone who's been treating spinal issues for 20 years, I just know how important sleep is. So I'm coming at it from, a heartfelt space, and yeah, I might get knocked off. That's possible.
Yeah. Heartfelt space. That's a good space. Do you see yourself expanding the line, like the brand? Like I could, like I'm sitting here thinking about, is he gonna make like a pillow for like the airplane? Because I feel like the neck pillows are horrible. That's just me. I feel like they're horrible. That was one thing I thought about. And then I felt like, when you see the color purple, the first thing popped into mind is a mattress, but they already have the purple mattress. Do you see yourself expanding the brand line into other products?
Yeah, it's interesting. You read my mind, actually. Yes, I do actually. That just to start, that travel pillow, that horseshoe-shaped device is absolutely wrong. So
Yeah.
yes, I have a redesign that's totally different for travel pillows. The knee pillow, which is either goes underneath your knees on your back or between your knees on your side. There is no combination pillow for both back and side. That's actually going to be our second product. A body pillow that's actually not just a tube, which is really a nonsensical design. I've got a redesign for
Mhm.
that. The pregnancy pillow, and the list goes on. So, yeah, I have about 8 or 9 innovations that the first is the hardest, Audrey. Once we get this going, then I'm going to be rolling with the next devices as well, for sure.
Yeah, the first is always the hardest, and because but you learn a lot. Like I learned so much. I learned so much from that first business, and I call it because I was dabbling before, but that was my first real business that I had to raise money and all these things. I remember we had to do a TV show, so we had to fly from Newark to Dallas to be on a TV show. We had to fly back to Newark and drive to Long Island because we had a meeting with a potential investor. And all he wanted was a hamburger. And he said, just I'm gonna give you guys the rundown on what you need to understand. And he did. So we sat down in a diner in Long Island for like 4 hours with him. He ate the hamburger really slow, but he gave us so much information. And I remember by the time we got to the next investor, that investor, we were in Orange, New Jersey, at an Italian restaurant in Orange. We met with the investor, and he wanted 50% of our company for $50,000 with management rights. Because of that first 4 hour meeting, we knew that was a bad idea. We was like, no, not gonna happen. So you learn a lot, but all of that stuff has helped me to be the businesswoman that I am now for the last 28 years. So you do learn a lot. Do you have any other plans to do anything else? I know you still practice chiropractor services. I know you still do that. The pillow probably takes a lot of your time. Is there anything else that you see yourself doing beyond the pillow and the expansion?
Other than the devices that I just mentioned to you?
Yes.
No, well, meditate a lot. I do teach meditation to my patients. That's a huge passion of mine. Believe it or not, I lived in India in an ashram about 27 years ago. And the reason I wear purple, which has to do with the crown chakra, which is violet. So spirituality and God are the most important thing in my
Yeah.
life. So yes, if you're asking if I'm passionate about anything else, yeah, that is my primary purpose.
It's so funny. Before we went on air, I was telling Dr. Grunstein, like I'm a big look. So that citrine, I wear it around my neck. I never hardly take it off. I have stones all over my house. I try to meditate, um, but I'm not that good at meditation. But I am good at journaling and candles and all that good stuff. I'm good at all of that stuff. But meditation, not so much. I'm thinking about doing goat yoga though. I got to tell you that. So
Yeah.
that's probably gonna help with something. They have a lot of goat yoga here in Georgia, and I was like, I'm gonna go do goat yoga one day. as a part of
Yeah.
something that I'm working on. So I want to thank you so much. What do you want to leave the people with before we go today?
Well, I would love for people to at least go check out the website. They can see a video that we made so they can learn more about the pillow. It's not available in the marketplace yet, but it will be soon. So the website, there you put it up. That was easy. drjspillows.com.
That
Dr.
stands for
J's Pillows.
drjspillows.com. Yep,
Yeah,
Dr. J's
thank
Pillows.
you.
I want to thank you so much for being my guest today. I know that bringing a product to market is tough. So if you're thinking about bringing a product to market, people that are thinking about bringing a product to market, give them some advice before you leave, because I understand what it's like. I've done it. What is a physical product, not a digital product, not a book, because those are easy. A real product that you got to like think and give them some advice about that, Dr. Gerstein.
Well, I would first say know the marketplace. You really, I
Yeah.
mean, it took me a long time of research to understand that there was a real gap in the market, in the pillow market. So that's number one. Number two, the statistics are not good. 1% of inventions go to market. So
Yep.
if you're going to do it, I think one, don't quit your day job. I've done that in the past. And number two, you have to have a no matter what attitude about it. You just have to keep going and push through. There's going to be hurdle after hurdle. However, if you believe that there's a market for your product and you really feel like you have something special that's going to help humanity, go for it.
And do a lot of networking. When I had the idea for the dolls, it was an idea literally in my head. I was working in pharmaceutical at the time, and I hated that job every day. I was working for Novartis, and I hated it every day. But it was an idea that popped into my head, and I was able to take that idea, and we just started looking for anybody who could manufacture dolls. And someone said, "Go to Toy Fair." And we went to Toy Fair, and that's how we got our manufacturer. And we pitched them right at Toy Fair. We got this idea for these dolls, and they said, okay. And they did it. And they became our partner. We didn't even have to pay for the mold. They became our partner. And we had to
Mm.
find somebody to draw what was in my head, you know. And we found a guy who had a doll manufacturing company. He manufactured in Hong Kong, but his base was in Virginia. So we drove to Virginia and sat in his warehouse for 6 hours, had nothing but water, taking notes ferociously, everything he was saying. And then we drove back to Jersey and we put it all into practice. So it is grueling, y'all. It is grueling. If you are starting out with your own money, sometimes you're undercapitalized. Like we ran it for 5 years. We kept the dollars in the market for 5 years. And after that, I was burned completely out. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So, you know, kudos to you for sticking around for 14 years. I made it five, and I'm proud of my 5 years. And I have a doll that sits in my house that I said I made. This was a thing in my head that I've done, and
Mm.
people around the world have her, and have them. And so it's gratifying. And I used to say, if I kick the bucket today, I think I've done some amazing things. And I don't talk about them a lot, but I think I've done amazing things. So I want to thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be cheering for you to keep moving forward. If you ever want to come back and talk about what you're doing and how it's helped people, you got a new launch, please by all means reach out to me. I'll be happy to have you come back and talk about that process. This is the business blueprint on Friday. We talk about the blueprint, how you got it done. And it's exciting when I get to talk to a product developer who's developed. I talk to a lot of other folks. Not that I don't like talking to you guys, but it's interesting to see the process of getting a product developer and developed and bringing it to market. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All right, listen, guys. Dr. Grunstein, you have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully I'll talk to you again.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it. Take care.
All right, bye bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Dr. Grunstein. Listen, if your neck is hurting, you need a good pillow. You need to find out more about that pillow by going to his website, drjspillow.com. Dr. J's Pillows with an S on the end of pillows.com. Dr. J's Pillows with an S on the end.com. Check the pillow out. I sleep on three, and I really sleep on one. I have my favorite, but I'm like balling it up in a ball and stuff like that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, please by all means share it with someone, and you share it with 2 people. It's free. It's free. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help me get to where I got to get to. And like this show. When you like and subscribe to this show, that help the algorithms push the show forward. So do me a favor and subscribe and share the show with someone. I'll be back next week with another great guest. She's an interior designer, and she's going to be telling you how to decorate your house and remodel your house on a budget. And she's going to show us live on how to do that with some great software. So be sure to tune in so you don't miss that episode, and you know how to get in contact with her so she can help you redesign your house. I'm not a designer. If y'all can see, I got stuff everywhere. That's my vision board back there. My vision board, because I keep that behind me so I can remember what the vision is. I'll be back again next Friday, but tune in on Monday, 10 o'clock, to a new episode on the podcast, the audio only podcast. Next Friday, I have a video guest. Be sure to tune in. Thank you so much for listening. You guys stay safe out there. Have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, my friends, until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
You've been watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show today and share it with your friends by going to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com.